Welcome to this week's meeting of the Rockland Board of Selectmen, coming to you live on WRPS from the H. Bernard Monahan Memorial Room here at Rockland Town Hall. On the agenda this week, we've got changes in trash collection, annual appointments, and a report from the Athletic Fields Project. Now here's the Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Mr. Ed Kimball.
Good evening. Would you all please rise and join us for a Pledge of Allegiance led by our veteran agent, Mr. Tony Materna. Through your curve, Larry. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The audience, participants, and general public should be aware that any and all portions of this open meeting may be recorded by audio and video resources. All or some of this meeting may be rebroadcast periodically by WRPS or other outlets. Persons wanting a DVD copy of this meeting should contact WRPS or the Board of Selectmen's office. A small fee will be charged. With that, we have open forum tonight, and we have some Eagle Scout awards. We have Shane Anthony Darcy and Joshua David Ruffin. If they'd like to come up to the front, please.
We'll stand over here. We'll get the microphone for the people in the crowd. Again, the town of Rockland has produced another couple of fine Eagle Scouts. It's always an honor to be able to stand here in front of the people of the town and recognize these young men, or young women for that matter, who do these deeds to reach the top of their, I won't call it profession, but the top of their business. Can you guys explain to the town people what you did to what was your Eagle project?
I built a shed over in Hartsuff Park so that they could use it for the summer camps to keep all the supplies in, to take care of the grounds and stuff like that.
My Eagle project was I went around town and I located 20 fire pole boxes on the main roads of Rockland, brushed them down and repainted them. Excellent.
Excellent. The town recognizes you for your commitment and dedication to the town and to the scouting organization in attaining the Eagle Scout rank. So David, Joshua, David, and Shane, congratulations. Nice job.
Okay, next up on the open forum, we have a plaque for the Knights of Columbus, certificate of recognition for over 120 years, the commitment, dedication to the town of Rockland.
I was fortunate enough to attend the 120th anniversary party, if you will. And we were also very fortunate to bring Larry Chaffee along with us, so that he got to go out and get to talk to a few people and be around and everything. So it was a good thing to see. I want to thank the Knights for all that you do for the town of Rockland, and it's in recognition of your commitment and dedication to the town of Rockland for over 120 years of service, 1896 to 2016. Congratulations. Have a word to say? Guys.
I'll be quick. On behalf of Paul Walsh, the Grand Knight, Bill Chisholm, the Financial Secretary, myself, Jared Valenzola, Deputy Grand Knight, it's certainly an honor to be a part of such a wonderful organization and to be a part of such a wonderful organization in an even better town. And on behalf of the Knights of Columbus, I do want to say I was remiss at the event in not recognizing that Selectman Ryan was there. And on behalf of the Knights, we're grateful that you attended, and we're further grateful for all that you do for our brother Larry Chaffee, certainly immensely commendable. And again, on behalf of our brother Larry, we are very grateful to you. Again, thank you to the Board of Selectmen for this award. We're certainly honored. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job.
Thanks, Jared.
Next up on the open forum, we have the Memorial Day report from Tony Materna. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I want to take this opportunity to thank the community for their services that they provided during our Memorial Day workup. Prior to the Memorial Day, I attended the 3 elementary schools. They each had their own individual programs in honor and recognition of Memorial Day, and they were fantastic. The kids it's just spectacular to see the response that the kids have and understanding what Memorial Day really is. Leading up to that, the flagging of the cemeteries, we put out about 1,900 flags in our cemeteries here in Rockland. We had about 85 people participate. A lot of them were scouts. A lot of volunteers stepped up to the plate and made my job a whole lot easier. It would be difficult to place 1,900 by myself, and certainly I appreciated the services that were provided by the community, how they stepped up and assisted me in doing a fine job. I only had 1 or 2 complaints that we missed a couple flags, unfortunately, but that does happen when we have as many flags as we have to put down. We did have a short memorial service at the Union Square on Sunday. About 10 o'clock, we had a few from the VFW. We had the shooting and the taps, and a prayer was said there in recognition of those who were missing in action or killed in action on our Union Square Memorial. Then we went on to Memorial Day, and I'm sure that many people were aware of it. We had a meeting at 6:45 Monday morning to determine whether we should go forward with our parade. Obviously, the rains kind of put a damper on things, so we had to call starting about 7 o'clock. We tried to reach out to social media, WATD, through other various Facebook, to try and get the word out that we were not going to have the parade for the safety of the children and others too, to march in the extreme rain that we did have. And of course, an hour after having canceled it, it stopped raining. But then it started raining again, so we erred on the side of caution and wanted to continue to go forward with the service that we had at the high school auditorium. I want to thank those who participated in coming to the auditorium. I would say we had about 200 people and kids, students, scouts who came over, and Senator Keenan was there to give his speech. And we followed the format as though we were marching from Mount Pleasant to the library, and we were going to stop at the new Veterans Memorial. But that all obviously changed with the rains that we had to deal with. But overall, it was a 45-minute service, and thanks to the TV station here in town, we were able to have it recorded, and anybody interested, I'm sure you can find it on the local TV program. And it went well, and again, I thank everybody in town here, those who participated, watching it or being there to help make this a successful and recognizing what Memorial Day was all about. Again, thank you very much, and thank you for allowing us to have this. Appreciate that.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Is there any questions at
Good
all?
job, Tony.
Thank you.
Good save there on that rainy Monday.
What?
A good save.
I tried.
No, it will come out very well.
Very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have minutes, open session minutes of May 17th, 2016.
Motion approved. Second.
All those in favor? That's a vote. Under unfinished business, we have the Board of Health, Republic Services, an update on trash collection changes. Janice?
Steve Nelson.
Steve? Sorry.
I'm not Janice. Mr. Chairman, Steve Nelson is the chairman of the Board of Health.
Hi,
The board had asked for an update on some of the changes that are happening with the trash disposal.
It's been eventful. Been an eventful spring. Actually, got started in about last year when the previous trash hauler ran into some difficulties, and we were forced to switch in the kind of in midstream and mid-contract. And at the time, we went out to bid for an interim contract for trash hauling. We selected Republic. They were the most qualified and the best at the best price, and they've done a great job. That was difficult, coming in the middle of a contract with all new trucks and new people who didn't know the routes, and I just personally, I think they did a great job. We had a lot of questions. A lot of people were, change is difficult. So we've got another change coming. We're going to go into a longer-term contract with Republic. We're finalizing negotiations now.
And at this time, the best alternative that we can find is to go with with the automated pickup. We've seen them around towns. It's the big carts that you roll out to the curb. They're on wheels. They're very sturdy. The lids close good and tight. You roll them out to the curb on trash day. There's nothing that can blow around in the wind, and the truck comes by and it's automated, picks it up with an automatic claw and loads the truck. The biggest advantage, there's two huge advantages. One is a savings. Believe it or not, there's a savings because you don't have men on the truck who are prone to get hurt, and the other savings is the fact that you're not going to get all the litter on the street. We're spending a little money, extra money, in the next few years is because when you switch over to the carts, you have to. What the town's going to do is commit to buying 2 carts for every home. 1 cart will be for trash, and 1 cart will be for recycling. And they've got to be the same. That's all part of the service. The mechanical arm won't pick up odd-shaped packages. It won't pick up loose bags on the road. It won't pick up, things that aren't in the barrel. I'm not sure. There's some towns around here that have started to go to the automated, and I got to believe. I'm in business for myself, and I know what's going on with labor and with everything else. I got to believe that pretty much everybody's going to go to automated pickup pretty soon. We're hoping to start the program. The carts are scheduled to be delivered in the middle of August. We're gonna stage them. We think we're gonna try to stage them out back here in the high school parking lot and get them ready for distribution to the residents. Everybody will get 2 carts. 1 cart will be a 64-gallon cart for trash. That'll be the smaller one. That's going to get picked up every week. The bigger one will be a 95-gallon cart. That'll be for recycling. Recycling won't change that much. It'll be the same stuff. It'll be paper. It'll be plastic. It'll be the things that we can recycle. That'll get picked up every other week. One of the things that I don't think has been made clear is that when we buy these carts, we're buying them over a course of 5 years. So the trash contract itself, the actual trash contract is actually level funded or a little less. The carts are going to cost us something for the first 5 years, and then the town will own them. Now those come with a 10-year warranty, so we're going to own them for the last 5 years, and if there's any problems with them, they'll still be on warranty. At that time, we'll start to address how to keep them in good repair, but in the meantime, in the first 10 years, they're all warranted. We're going to work with Republic. They've done this transition in numerous towns. We're going to work with Republic on trying to get the word out to people. That's what we're doing here, is to put it on cable TV, send out mailers, to let people know that that's what we're going to be doing. One of the things that came up at one of our meetings was, what do we do with our old barrels and our old recycling bins and all this stuff that's no good anymore? And Republic is going to supply us with some roll-off containers down at the recycling center and be able to dispose of them. The ones that you don't want. I mean, people might use them for whatever, gardening or whatever. But the ones that become obsolete, we'll have a place to dispose of them rather than just, have them hanging around. Not sure what else I can tell you. Maybe you got questions or?
Questions from the board?
I have one. Steve, can you only have 1 rubbish barrel and 1 recycling barrel?
We're working on, we know there's going to be places that need more than 1 barrel. Mm-hmm. So we're working on it. Of course, that's an additional service, so we're trying to figure out a fair price for if you need a 2nd barrel. And, at that point, the price won't be the full price, obviously, because the truck's already there. But we're trying to figure out a price if you need the extra barrel. We've been told by Republic that people, when they've got the big recycling toter, they tend to recycle more and need less barrels. And in their history, what they've told us is people who had actually gone and wanted the extra barrels have found out that they don't necessarily need them and turned them back in. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just have a few questions. One, in terms of the barrels getting to the residences, I assume they'll be dropped off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
To everyone. Now, just thinking about the high school parking lot, that our time of year with a school beginning and things like that, is that going to work?
Well, we haven't absolutely nailed down
Okay.
where we're gonna distribute these.
A few other quick questions. What about like apartment buildings, like or duplexes or anything else? Like, is there like an inventory of how many have one, how many have 2 or 3, or
Yes.
barrels?
We'll be working off the
Okay.
trash billing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So if there is a duplex, they're already paying 2 bills. They'll get 2 sets of carts,
Okay.
and that will continue on.
And the last a question I have, is there anything I know, like in previous contracts, for example, around holidays, around different times of the year, people might have been used to leaving perhaps more trash than they would have, than typically. Is there any like provision in the new contract that like accounts for any holidays or any and like any other like special type of pickups or anything else that is in or could be included in this contract that might be new to and new to the town or anything along those lines?
That actually hasn't come up yet, but
Okay.
we can certainly look into it.
I was just wondering, just to get the word out, but, and no, thank you. The plan here, in terms of getting the information out, looks, looks really actually impressive, and anything obviously we can do to help, to spread the word and just make sure people are ready. It's, you drive through Abington, you drive through other towns, and and I see the wave of the future anyways. It's obvious, so it makes sense. I just want to make sure, anything we can do to help get that information out, we do. So thank you.
Okay, appreciate that.
Any other questions from the board? I got a couple of quick ones. Will the barrels have serial numbers, so they'll be assigned to the end user?
Yes. Yeah.
And then you mentioned the warranty was going to be 10 years. Will that be prorated, or will it be full cover, 100%?
100% warranty for the first 10.
And then, I know you mentioned you were going to utilize, potentially utilize an area of the school for, I'm assuming a staging area for the delivery, but then you're going to deliver to the homes, correct? Now, you mentioned that you're going to provide some roll-offs for the obsolete barrels and obsolete recycling bins. Would that be something you'd pick up as you're rolling these things in, so that the homeowners who don't have provisions or ways to get the barrels to there, to the drop-off point? Or is it going to be something where you could have a special day in the contract, a one-time day, so that they went around and collected them? I'm just trying to think of the people who don't have a vehicle or a way to get the empty container, because what happens with barrels when they're empty, if you have kids, they start to fill them. So
Would those barrels be recyclable? Can they put them in the recycle barrel?
I don't know if they'll all fit. That was going to be my next question. I mean, are you limited by what can fit in the container? Does the lid have to be on it in order for the automated arm to pick it up? Or can, if you have excess waste, can the lid be left open, and will the arm still be able to retrieve the barrel or the container?
It's based on the rules of the community, on how they would like us to handle them.
I'm just trying to get, because
As far as the barrels and bins, we've found that when people turn in their recycle bins, we've had actually school departments that have come and used the bins for reuse in classrooms. So that's an option there that we have here in Rockland, that they could be distributed among the school department to increase recycling in the schools. And in most communities, we provide we did this in Marshfield, we provide a roll-off container for most of your trash barrels today are plastic, and we're able to recycle those. But it's not the usual mix that goes into the curbside mix. It's called the rigid plastic collection. But
we will provide a container so that we can recycle those also.
Okay. Anybody else? No?
I just have actually one other question, Ed. Janice, like in terms of like the town website, like is there anything that we can get up there that might actually have this like amazing information in terms of the rollout and all that?
Terry and I are going to be working with Marcy,
Okay.
the town hall media person. Also, I'm going to put together a package for cable, and we're going to be able to get it onto the website.
Okay.
So we'll have all the information out there. It's going to be coming out constantly throughout the summer.
Yep.
Also, when the barrels are delivered,
Yep.
they're all going to come with a package of information, a brochure explaining how to, how to recycle everything. They're going to have a calendar of what days your recycling is going to be picked up, calendar of holidays, and all of that information will be coming to the homes with the barrels.
Oh, well, so based on that, and I think, like, do you expect like a change in the current weekly schedule with the new system, or will it be the same?
Basically, right now, we're looking, the trash schedule, basically, pretty much, as far as I know right now, we're planning on keeping it the
Okay.
same. Certain areas of towns are gonna have their recycling picked up one week, other areas of town will have their recycling picked up the following week. So it
So
will be
it'll be
all,
bi-weekly.
and it will be, you will see that schedule right in your information packet.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's important to remember that recycling is every other week, and your regular trash is every week. I'd also want to take the opportunity, Terry, and you've been great. Republic Services has been a very willing partner with the town. They donated a dumpster, if you remember, for the rail trail cleanup. That was donated. You're donating to the Kaboom Playground, and has frequently stopped in the office and said, if anything's going on that we can help you out with, please don't hesitate to contact. And I have to say, they have not said no yet. So it's been very good.
Maybe I missed it. What was the rationale behind every other week for recycling?
Recycling bins are substantially larger.
I know, but right now I have 2 of the bins. And, I'm just wondering if the truck's coming.
Well,
I know it's different trucks, probably.
because we would need 2, if we did the recycling every week, well, we're doing it every week. We would need, if we did the whole town every week, we would need to bring in another recycling truck. So
Well,
it
that's
saves
now,
money.
right?
This way, we'll only have one recycling and 1 trash truck in town.
Okay. You're gonna have a lot of recycles and trash. That's what I think you're gonna have.
Well, because the recycling bin is substantially larger.
Okay.
It's 95 gallons. In fact, there's examples of the bins here at Town Hall, and we're gonna have them at the Senior Center, McKinley School, and,
They're out there?
yep, they're out in the hall. So,
Not big enough for me to see, I guess. But
It's the general business model of like in Massachusetts. It's a 64 gallon for trash and a 95 gallon for every other week because of the cost savings.
Okay. But some towns, they have them both out there. Yeah, like, I think.
We would do that every other week, have them both
Yeah,
out
but
there.
all right, maybe it's I'm not picking up that it's every other week. It looks like Abington has them out there every week, 2, and they're both the same size barrels. Okay. Gotta find
Well,
a place to put it now, 96 gallons.
Well, I know the contract hasn't been finalized as of yet, so I don't know if there's any provisions in there where maybe you could, after a certain period of time, you could review it and go back and say, all right, we tried this, and make an adjustment at that point moving forward for the balance of the contract. I don't know how you would do it in other towns, but where it's going to be new to us and it's going to be a learning curve for some of the residents, it might be prudent before you set the path for 5 years, and maybe you have a review period after, 90 days, 120 days or something, so you have a little history. I mean, you know your business more than we do. I mean, you do trash, but again, if it's training people to utilize more recycling versus regular waste, it might be something where until they get accustomed to your schedule, or we'll say Board of Health schedule, for pickup, or in the fact if they find that, as Mr. Johnson mentioned, that they may be recycling more, it might be something you may need to add a trip, or maybe you add I don't know, infrequently or something, and as Mike said, maybe there's something where you're gonna have maybe every quarter or every other quarter, you have a special pickup day or something, I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I know the transfer station's open, I know there's a lot of different things, but might be something to look at. I mean, that's up to the Board of Health and their board, but it's just thinking, what's coming down the road. I mean, recycling is big, so. Javi, you had a question?
Just a quick question. Will each of the barrels have a control number on them?
Yes.
And then they'll actually be issued to a particular resident location?
Correct.
And that number will be...
That was one of the questions I asked, Javi. You must have been nodding off then. I said that was one of the questions I had initially asked. You must have nodded off then. I got you, though. Yeah, I know. I didn't see your hand next time either. Any other questions from the board?
And thank you for being here and for the work you've done over the past year. I know it's been a challenge, and thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry, see you later.
Okay, next up on the agenda, item number 4. We've got the Housing Partnership Committee update.
That would be me.
Mr. Ryan. And we also have a committee reappointment.
Yeah.
Would you like to give us the update first before we decide if we want to?
Why don't we do that? Maybe I can talk you out of reappointing me. Anyway, Rockland is producing a housing plan which will help us in our efforts to reach the goal of 10% affordable housing that the state mandates for all towns. Right now, we're in the process of getting that plan done. Basically, what happens is the state says, we have a plan for you. They basically make up the plan. They produce it for you. We sit around, we talk about things that we would like to see in it, ask any questions about how it's going to work for the town. And part of the process is that we have to have open meetings or hearings where people come in and the state people are going to come down and talk about what's going on. We already had one that was well attended at the Rockland Senior Center, and we're going to have another one on Thursday, June 16th at 7 o'clock. They run for about 2 hours, and basically we'll be meeting the people from the state, and they're going to explain in more detail of what we're trying to accomplish, and it's just a necessary part of the process in order to get this plan put into place. It would be nice if a number of people could come down and join us. Like I said, we had a good crowd last time, but we could use a few more people in there. If you have any ideas, concerns, or otherwise, basically this is your forum to be able to say what you think or ask any questions. There's a lot of misconceptions about what we're doing and how it's going to apply and what authority does the housing committee have, et cetera, et cetera. We really don't have a lot of authority. We have none when it comes to where housing goes. But we will have some when it comes to how many houses you can put there or how many you can put in a year or whether you can put any at all. Once we reach our 10% goal of affordable housing, then Rockland will have the right to say, no, we don't want 200 units up the end of Union Street. We don't want 150 units down behind Home Depot or some other open space that's really not good much for anything else, but a 40B could be put there. Affordable housing is a big thing within the state. They really want us to talk it up. It's sort of like talking about paint dry, but again, in the long run, it's a plan that's going to help the town, and it's part of the way the state does business now when it comes to all these different types of projects in which they want to enlist the community's help and cooperation. So please come down on the 20th. It's only lasts for a couple hours. It's a good time. 16th, I'm sorry, did I say the 20th? Oh, 16th at 7 o'clock, sorry. There must be something else going on the 20th. But anyway, come on down and spend a couple hours and learn about what the production's for and how it's going to benefit us. That's about it.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, we were remiss in not reestablishing the Housing Partnership Committee earlier, and they do have a couple meetings coming up, so I would like to ask somebody on the board to make a motion to reestablish the Housing Partnership Committee and to reappoint Mr. Ryan, Bill Cormier, Pat Foley, Dr. Rogers, and John Lucas. And there are still 2 vacancies available if anyone's interested.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? To vote. We have 1 abstention. You
Yeah,
abstained.
why not?
You can't vote for yourself?
Again, vote for me, I'll set you free.
That's common.
He was hoping not to win the vote.
There you go. I couldn't step backwards fast enough.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, under item number 5, we have annual appointments continued.
Also in the appointments, the board had voted at the last meeting to establish a fire station building committee. And I know Chief Duffy has been working with a number of residents who have volunteered or had their arms twisted adequately, whatever the case may be. But in your book is a list of people who are interested, as well as there should be 1 appointment from the Board of Selectmen, and I know Mr. Mullen had previously indicated an interest. Recommendation of Mr. Duffy is, of Chief Duffy is himself, Deputy Chief Dave Woolley, Charlie Williams, who was a firefighter and a resident of the town, James Killinger, a retired firefighter and a resident of the town, Christopher D. Filippo, I hope I said that right, who's a resident and an architect, and William Cormier, who is a resident and interested, along with Selectman Mr. Mullen.
Make a motion to appoint Mr. Mullen.
What about the rest of them?
Let's get him on first.
So we have a motion for Mr. Mullen. Do we have a second for Mr.? All those in favor?
Should I abstain?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Make a motion
That's
to
a vote.
appoint Scott Duffy, the fire chief, David Woolley, Charlie Williams, Jim Killinger, and Christopher DiFilippo, and Bill Cormier.
Second.
All those in favor? So vote. Congratulations. Good luck. I was on the old committee.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We only have 2 appointments tonight. As we're winding down, we will have, I believe at a later date, the rent control appointment, but that doesn't expire until, I think, what was it we decided the last time, August 31st?
August, yeah.
August.
So the Memorial Committee, John Rogers.
Motion.
Second.
All
I was
those
just
in favor?
wondering, a quick question
vote.
on his experience in town. He just said many. Just,
Registrar of Voters, we have a volunteer in Peter Dow.
Motion to appoint.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So vote.
Thank you.
Thank you all who
you.
volunteer.
Let me see.
Okay, next up on the agenda, we have item 6, Athletic Fields Project Committee Report. Mr. Murphy.
How are you?
Good evening, everyone. Steve Murphy, 23 Millbrook Drive, member of the Board of Park Commissioners. Just wanted to take a minute. We've kind of been up here a couple times. We've had a bunch of meetings regarding this athletic complex. But just wanted to kind of take a minute and kind of just bring everyone up to speed on where we stand. The special election is this Saturday, so we thought it was good timing to answer some questions, kind of dispel some misconceptions and so forth. So I'm not going to get really into the details. I think everyone in town has kind of seen the conceptual drawings and so forth. If you have not, we have a Facebook page out there, Rockland Fields Project. Gives you all the information you can ever want on the fields. But just a couple updates. We've met with Gale Associates a couple times. I'd like to commend them. They have it's a company out of Weymouth that's It's what they do, is put these fields in. They've been very, very cordial to us, pro bono. Helped us, any questions. They've been down there a few times with me to kind of, one thing we said when we started this project is we wanted to have as many answers as we could before the vote, and that's what we've been trying to do. So they've helped us quite a bit in getting back to people and answering some questions. But we've done a few things as far as the design is concerned, and everything that we've done as far as the design is concerned is from a cost-cutting measure. We've reduced the seating a little bit. One of the reasons for that is two reasons for that. A, we probably have more than enough seats, so we've scaled that back. And one thing that happens with these projects is that the capacity of the seating also drives the needs for facilities. So the more we can cut that back, the more we can save expenses as far as the laboratories and such are concerned. One great idea that we came up with, if you folks can kind of envision this, we call it the sledding hill, which is the backside of the stadium. What a lot of towns are doing now is rather than putting hardcore seating in there, we're creating almost like a ramped, or a tiered, I should say, pavilion area. So in other words, you'll have 3 or 4 feet of grass, you'll have a small retaining wall, 3 or 4 feet of grass, small retaining wall, and it's really, I envision that as to be the A1 place to watch a game, I really do. So with that, we also take away those seats. We add some nice capacity, people can sit on the walls, they can bring their chairs and so forth. So I think roughly we're down to about 650 seats, I think is what we have it scaled down to. So we're very comfortable with that. The main, you certainly have all your graduations and so forth. Those will continue to be held in the stadium because of the seating capacity. And even at that, the other night, I think it was crowded. It was pretty full, but that was about 800 people. So, we're right there where we need to be. So, just some questions, I guess, that have been presented. I'll just present for the audience and the viewing audience. The timeline for this project, if it is approved on Saturday, we are looking at September 1st of 2017. So it's going to happen pretty quick. One of the things that's to our favor here is we're taking really a field and making it a field. So it's not like we're tearing down buildings. It's not like we're doing real complex work. So the goal, and this is the best estimate we've gotten from Gale Associates, is September 1st, 2017, which obviously is perfect for the new high school year, high school sports, youth sports, and so forth. The secondary project that's getting done across the street, which is will be natural grass, softball fields and a multi-purpose field, that would be September 1st of 2018. That needs a full growing season. So we have some contingency plans on where everyone will go in the meantime, but that's just kind of an update on the timeline. Next kind of point of emphasis is we've had some questions on the tax side. We've had some misconceptions on the tax side, so I just wanted to clear up as much as I could today. The average home for 15 years starts at $61, and that's per year. I've had people coming up to me saying, I can't afford $61 a month. I can't afford $61 a quarter. It's $61 a year. So if the average rate in Rockland right now is $5,020 for the average home, it's going to be $5,080. Two things that come into play on that. That does scale down. The average of $61 in the first year, I believe, ends up around $47 to $48 in the 15th year. We also, about 3 years, or estimated about 3 years into the project, we have some debt exclusions falling off the books that will represent about half that $60. So 2 or 3 years down into this project, or into the payment of the project, you're looking at roughly $30 coming off the actual bill. So we really want to emphasize that yes, it's going to be 61 out of the gate. It's going to ramp down, but it's also going to be offset by some debt exclusions that are falling off the books. And the last kind of main point I wanted to ask, to address, and people are welcome to ask any questions on any of this. One of the kind of focal points on this has been the veterans. And just to bring everyone up to speed, there's going to be, if this project gets approved, there's a Little League field that's going to be displaced. The Little League field is owned by the Park Department. That was another misconception, that we were taking a field from somebody. It's owned by the Park Department, but it is dedicated to a veteran. So what we've done there, I do want to say about the veterans. When we first met with them, as you can imagine, it was a little contentious. So I really want to applaud. There's been quite a few veterans, and in particular, some of those that were quite boisterous and kind of, passionate about this, a lot of those guys have taken the time and actually come to our meetings and actually listened to what we want to do for them. In fact, two of the most kind of outspoken and kind of passionate guys come up with great ideas to replace these two things that we're going to be offsetting. Those ideas are coming from them. So that's what it's all about. This is a community project. We're not here trying to slam something down someone's throat. We wanted answers, and I'm very excited that two of the veterans that I really think at first were opposed to this are now completely on board, and we're putting things in place that they've suggested. They will also have a seat on our board when we establish the board. So just to follow up on the veteran situation, there's 24 trees that are dedicated in this particular area, and they're dedicated to veterans. 3 of those trees will have to be displaced. Out of the 3, one of them's already dead, and it's coming down. So what we're saying is our proposal is to take those 3 trees that are displaced or need to be displaced, replant them, and put a full veterans pavilion area. So we can take the situation now, whereas people really don't know who those trees are dedicated to. Sure, they know they're dedicated to 24 veterans, but I would be hard-pressed to find someone, and it's a shame, hard-pressed to find someone that could actually name who those trees are for. So what we want to do is we want to turn this pavilion area into a kind of like a memorial with those particular gentlemen's names, plaques, and some seating area, and really call that another additional veterans type memorial. So, and one idea we have there is to actually have the construction of that done with our local school children in conjunction with the veterans. We think that would be a great opportunity for our kids to not only complete a project like that, but to understand why they're doing it and what it's all about. So, and then another scenario that we come up with for displacing the field, it actually works out if you do the footprint, it comes back to right around where the pitcher's mound is on the existing field. We will have a whole statue there memorializing the 7 gentlemen that the fields are named after. So the almost to the footprint of where the baseball diamond is now will be a new kind of memorial area. In addition to that, the 2 fields that are going across the street, we are giving, or we're asking the veterans group to dedicate those to 2 additional people. So maybe, some folks that we've lost in more recent times and so forth. So, I'm not going to speak for anybody. I'm not speaking for any groups, but I can tell you that the progress that we have made with this group, and again, kudos to them for those that really want to take the time and just sit and listen to us and talk with us. It's very enlightening to know that, hey, what, change is good and it can happen. We're seeing it right now with the beautiful Veterans Memorial that they put in. That was night and day. Folks probably don't even know, a lot of folks, that the plaques inside the stadium, that's what the veterans plaques are all about. But people really don't even know that. Unless you have a kid, you're in the stadium. Now look what they've done outside the stadium. So we're trying to do the same thing. We're taking a scenario that's kind of, not very well known, unfortunately, and bringing it to the limelight again. So I think, all things considered, we got everyone on board, and we will be having, in case anyone's interested, we are going to have a meeting tomorrow night right down in the Oval area. So anyone that's interested in seeing the footprint or has any questions or how it's got to lie, we'll be happy to meet with you and answer any questions. That's one of the things that I had promised to some of the abutters, so we want to follow through on that so they can actually see exactly where this is going to fall. So we're there. No time like the present. Saturday's coming soon, and all we can do is ask for your support. It's definitely a needed project. Anyone that knows anything about the fields, anything about the overuse, anything about the desire to use the fields, it's a no-brainer. So we really ask for everybody's support for the kids, for the town, for the seniors, anyone that walks. I go by the walking track every morning now. There's dozens of people out there every morning, so they're getting a huge benefit out of this as well. So, any questions?
Questions from the board?
Thank you for your work, Steve.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Nice job.
If anyone has any questions, they should go to the website, the Facebook
The
page,
Facebook, yep.
because I've seen questions be posed there, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. And
Yep.
either you or someone is responding.
Yep.
Your committee is responding and giving the answers. Like a couple of them were, why do we need 8 lanes
Yeah.
of track?
Yep.
And it's because the MIA requires that. And why can't the track be over at the bicentennial, and it's because of the wetlands and things that have to do with that.
Bathrooms,
so,
everything
yeah,
you can't-
it's-
yep.
right. So it's really an informative thing, and I think the information is there if people want it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that want to create misinformation.
And that's, we've done 3 or 4 of these meetings now. It's one thing that we were adamant about from the beginning, is we're transparent. We're not hiding anything. This is a community project. We're not hiding anything. Any question that is asked, we'll answer it. So, for those that choose not to answer or choose to take the other road, you know what, we're probably not going to win their vote. But our job is to get as many people as educated as we can with the right answers and the true answers, and go from there. So,
Good luck Saturday.
Nice job.
get out and vote.
Yeah.
Get out and
Thank
vote.
you.
Steve.
Okay, next up on the agenda, item number,
Have we read this into the?
what's that?
Yeah, we read.
Yeah, the warrant was already done. It was already posted.
Last week we voted, right?
Last
Make sure.
meeting. Item number 7, we have Southfield Board appointment. Mr. Chalker?
Mr. Chairman, you have the resumes of 4 individuals alphabetically. I'm hoping they are here. They've been notified that tonight is the night. Margaret Caswell, can we get you up front, Margaret? Steve Lamont. Is Steve here? Oh, thank you, Steve. Eric Miller. And Randall Webster. You're here. First 2 rows, I guess, is fine. Wherever it works. The board, this is an appointment in conjunction with the town of Weymouth. We have to agree on appointment. And the board had asked for all candidates to be present for this meeting.
Okay. I was going to open it up to the members of the board for some questions. Mr. Mullen, did you have an opportunity to put a...
I actually came up with a quick list of questions right before this meeting. Mr. Chairman, just like 3 or 4. So if you want me to run through them, however you want to.
Yeah, I think the intent was we wanted to go through and ask all the candidates a similar question and see if the response would be. And Mr. Mullen was kind enough to put that together. So all yours, Mike.
So I guess I'll begin with Mr. Miller. Just in terms of, your vision for the project and, how you would see your role working to advance the interests of the homeowners association, but also for the communities of Rockland, Weymouth, and Abington. I mean, what vision and how do you see your role as helping to and guide that vision for the interest for all of us really in the association and communities?
I think what's in the best interest of I think it's really in the best interest of everybody. It's the 3 towns. It's looking to maximize the potential of the project. If it benefits, it's going to benefit the 3 towns. It's going to benefit the region, and if it benefits those groups, it's also going to benefit the residents. So the goal is to look at what's going to be the best use of property, what's going to be the best use of the whole project in general, and try to do that in a way that it's not about one town. It's not about it's not even about the 3 towns. It's about trying to make sure that everybody see the benefit from this project, and I think they will. If we look at what's best for the project, then everybody's going to be successful within that, regardless of whether I'm actually a resident there. If it's a good project, then being a resident there is just going to be secondary to that.
My overall goals would just be incorporating Southfield within the 3 towns, that way there's seamless development flow within the community and bring the 3 towns together in a way where there's no lines in that regard, because we all are developing on more or less of a shared space or parts of a shared space. And along the lines of what Eric said, what is best for the development, in theory, should be best for the towns as well. And what's best for the towns should be incorporated are happy to be there as residents, but that we're also welcoming those from other towns who can use this as a model transportation.
So, you know, I feel that I'm committed to excellence. Okay, so what I would like to see is this project move forward flawlessly. Okay, and it's a shared goal, meaning shared with not just the Southfield Neighborhood Association residents, but also the three towns. Now, I've been to your town meetings several times. I've been to Abington's. I've certainly been to a lot of Weymouths. I listen. I talk. I've been about from the very beginnings. I support our members. You got some excellent candidates here. Very typical of an eclectic group in Southfield. So if you don't like us four, we'll bring four more. Okay. But I think it's listening. It's being a critical thinker. Okay, asking questions like you do here. And I think, I mean, I've been involved in a lot of projects in my engineering and science career, and it's important to look at the pro-con analysis and to make sure that you have all the data and all the facts, and that's the hardest thing we have, in my opinion, to make reasonable decisions. And you got to pound it. It takes a lot of time. Okay, and so I'm here. My first commitment is to the Southfield Neighborhood Association, and we're close at hand. We see things. We want to be fiscally frugal, okay, with our SRA board. But more importantly, is we're committed to excellence. Okay, we want the best because we realize that will give more, particularly commercial opportunities, more monies in your tax coffers. Okay, so that you can upgrade your communities. Okay, so you can do things like we've heard about tonight and not worry about $61 in a tax year. Okay, for worthwhile things. So.
Thank you.
Well, first, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you taking time. I applied for this position about a year and a half ago, or whatever it was that this first came up. It didn't work out, but nobody ever asked to meet me to see what kind of a candidate I might be. If you look at my resume, I was involved in the town of Carver, the Plymouth and Carver, for 23 years, capital outlay, the regional school committee, which we helped to disband, the Carver Public School and primary schools as a chairperson for quite a number of years. Capital outlay, building committee I was on. I've been a public service guy. This is a public service job. This is really about, from Rockland's perspective, this is an opportunity to, as was mentioned, to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are going to come out of employment, revenue, without having a significant adverse effect to town resources. It's a balance. It's a balance both with Abington and Weymouth as well. So, and of course representing the association has a stake. I'm interested because I'm a resident. I've been in, everything I've done is really around moving things along and getting, and in this case, it's meeting the obligations of the legislation, making sure that revenue increases, that jobs grow, and that to the extent possible, you don't have a negative impact on the resources of all the other communities, this one included. So thanks for being interested in making a decision on the position based on who you see and what our background is. So the vision is really to just work in a cooperative way to maximize the opportunities that this presents for all three towns in the association as much as it's possible to do. And sometimes we can't have everything we'd like. And that's the nature of life, as I've learned.
Oh, do you want me to go through the whole list, or?
Anyone else have any questions?
Just, I got one question. How many of you guys have met with Bill Minahan and discussed what your role would be? Or have you met with Bill?
I've met Bill at the SRA meetings. I'm sure, many of these people have too. Because I have questions I ask after the meeting and make sure we express, opinions and stuff.
Sure. And I guess, I know you have committee experience from what you said. Is anyone else, have you ever worked on a committee? Because I can tell you, different than working, you know, okay, what kind of committees?
I'm actually currently a member of the advisory board for the SRA. I'm one of the appointees, so if I were selected, I would resign that position. But that's the committee work I've done, and I was appointed 3 years ago for that.
The only reason I bring it up is sometimes you have very driven people that get on a committee and they realize they can't drive the committee, they have to work, you know, obviously, like I found out on this board, you know, you have a lot of people that, you know, want to do their own thing, and you gotta work together.
Mike, did you have your second?
Yes. So, going back to my my political science days, just a question from that, and a few of you, I'll touch on it earlier, but I guess I'll begin with you, Mr. Webster. Do you see your potential role on the advisory board more as a delegate, like of the SRA to, to just represent the wishes of the homeowners association, or as more of a delegate to really, to work with the association, but to really use your knowledge and expertise to really, to really make your own best judgments and things along those lines.
Yeah, within the context of what all the major stakeholders have an interest in. So certainly what some of the concerns Rockland has is, in fact, it bears on decisions that are made, that I may make, the association, Weymouth and Abington as well. But you got to find your way through some of that, and your point is correct, that in trying to, Mr. Johnson, in trying to make right decisions, it does mean that you've got to find ways to work with committees and take a position that may not be quite the position you would like, but it moves the project along, and it's not harmful or detrimental to the accomplishment of the project. So, yeah, I'm a pretty collaborative guy and understand that dynamic quite well.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much the same. I'm totally collaborative. I have your memorandum of agreement here. I've been reading through it. I want to understand what your needs are, and it's got to be incorporated into the decisions, on the SRA board. You've got to listen to all parties, but certainly I'm going to be sensitive to my heart. My ears are close to the ground here in Southfield, so I'll listen strongly to them, and certainly pay attention to the Bill Minahans and Kellys, and listen and make sure that how you weight things is balanced. Okay, because again, the best decision is an optimization. That's what it comes down to, and that goes to lining up the pros and the cons with critical thinking.
As a representative of the association, initial priority would be representing the voices of the people within the community, but knowing that in order to move any project forward, you have to work with the people that you are on a committee with to get things done, as Steve said, whether that's as you would like it or not, but knowing that the overall project is the best interest of everybody, not just our neighborhood, but the whole, the towns adjacent to us. Every decision affects everybody. So you have to think in the big picture, broad spectrum, and work with everybody to get things done.
One of the biggest and most visible changes when the enabling legislation was changed 2 years ago was to go from a 5-member board to a 9-member board, and all the residents, all 4 of us sitting here in front of you, were part of that change. And one of it is that there were 2 residents that were put on the board, and the reason for that is to make sure that the people who actually lived there also had a voice in the group that was overseeing them. But within that dynamic, there's of course collaboration. You can't, two residents on a 9-person board still have to work with the other 7 to create a harmonious group. So, if I were on the board, I would look at it as the role is be able to speak on behalf of the residents, say this is what the residents want, but also knowing that the best interest of the residents is a collaborative effort that is best for everybody.
Yeah. So I guess I'll flip back. I've read sections 12 and 13 of the Southfield legislation, and I know in recent months there's been a lot of questions and issues around employment policies, and I've read through both of those sections repeatedly to try to, and I've read the initial employment policy, and I've read the revised one, but I also know that there's been a lot of and controversy, like in strife and challenges around that. I'm just wondering how you feel about the interpretation of those two sections, whether you believe they violate like any perceived understanding of those two sections, or you think they adhere to the intent of those two sections.
I think offering an employment agreement to an employee of the SRA would not be in line with what the legislation intended. But I think that the larger issue is more, let's look at what's the efficiency of the group, of the SRA itself. Instead of worrying about employment contracts, what's in the best interest of that entity? And are you better off signing an agreement with somebody, potentially having an employee that you don't need 2 or 3 years from now? Or are you better off giving yourself the flexibility to truly have an at-will employee, not offer them a contract, leave them as an at-will employee? So I think it's more a philosophical view that I think we're better off keeping it open, having a true at-will, unquestioned at-will employee, like the people who work in Rockland Town Hall or Weymouth Town Hall or Abington Town Hall. So I think staying as far back from that line as possible is probably the safest bet, just to make sure you're not locked into an employee that you find you don't need in 2 or 3 years. Because everything's changing with the group right now, with the board. The authority's only 1.5 years, almost 2 years old. So it's, what they need now is maybe not what they need in a couple of years. So that's my thought with it.
Thank you.
I agree with Eric in that same line. I think stepping away from that is the best interest of everybody involved, really. Probably my own bias just coming from my line of work. That's how I am employed, is at will. So, and that's my company's right. That's my choice to work for the company I work for, to be able to work off of performance and need. I think that especially with so many changes since I've moved to Southfield, which was, I think, about 4 years ago now, things have changed. So to commit to one person in a particular role or to any number of people, especially, just puts the attitude, the line of work in question. And to stay away from that is my personal preference, and I think probably a lot of the people in the neighborhood association, to know that the people who are in these positions are a little bit more fluid, and that we can continue to move forward and not get stagnant if the project changes.
Thank you.
I agree with both my collaborators here. I was against the agreements, not necessary. Okay, simply not necessary. The employees, the 3 employees who I like very much, okay, are excellent employees. They have benefits, they have a pension. Yes, they don't have an agreement up until that happened. Why was it necessary? I've never had an agreement except as a consultant. In there, I don't get pension and I don't get benefits as a consultant. So I think I don't know the need for it. I remember the days of, to me, the dark days of the Tri-Town Board, okay, and I remember how it ended, and I wasn't happy about that, and they could do that because they were under agreements, okay, the 2 principals, and so that's how I feel.
Thank you.
And for me, I don't have a lot of history or information on it. I know how things usually work in town government. This is a bit like a town government. There's an evolving that's occurring, but I wouldn't speculate on what the legislation said unless I had someone interpret it who's a lawyer, so I'd know what is allowable and what's not allowable. I would look at salaries and compensation based on equivalent positions across the various towns in the community. You know, like what's Rockland making for a role that's similar to one of the roles there, or what's Weymouth and so on making, even though there's the scope issue, and I understand that. In some towns, people get contracts because they're elected officials, and they get or appointed by a committee. Like in Carver, we had our treasurer, who was an appointee, and who we would sign contracts. There's a town administrator, the same thing.
Very important that I have a contract.
And I agree. So, you know, that's not an unusual occurrence. It's unusual if it's in a position that is a staff-type position. But then you got to have policies and procedures and a structure that you're working around. You can't just sort of, it can't be an ad hoc process. So I don't know the details, but I know what usually happens in towns. And I would use the analog. You know, this is a town, sort of a quasi-town situation, and how would towns typically handle that? And resolve the issue by getting clarity on the legislation, and then deciding if this is a position that we should be, then deciding based on what the legislation allows. And if this is a position that we think ought to be a contract position or not a contract position. Certainly, in my opinion, there's at least one or two of them that I don't think are, but that's not, and I don't know, I haven't really investigated it, but I know how things work. So.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I'm not one to beat around the bush. One of the biggest issues we have regarding, we're people in Rockland, and we're going to appoint a co-person to Weymouth. Right now, we see the board working in one direction, and we understand that, quite frankly, if we elect one of you today, that would change the nature of the board and the voting powers within it. And it may indeed change the whole project in a direction that may not be as beneficial to Rockland as it appears to be going right now. I mean, we're asked to, you know, appoint a person from Weymouth who we want to sometimes agree with us, and not just agree with Weymouth, if you will, because basically that's where the fly is in the ointment. Everybody knows the talk that's been going around. It's been in the newspapers. It's not, you know, it's not hidden. It's a big elephant sitting in the room, and everybody knows it's there. So my question is to you as applicants is, where do you see yourself in that position? I mean, are you there to fill a quota? Are you there to make your own decisions, to work within the board so that it's harmonious throughout the three towns and not any one-sided thing? I mean, we see that, you know, it's written down in places and people talk about it, so let's just put it out in the open where it is so that we can discuss it as, you know, normal human beings, so that we can work together to get this project going and a little more streamlined. I mean, I understand, and we understand as a board here, that changes are normal in any progression of any committee, project, et cetera. There are people going to come, people are going to go. Town of Rockland wants our fair representation within the system in order to make sure that it's a equal and equitable solution to all three towns and not just any one town. So I guess my question is to you, where do you see yourself as far as this goes? I mean, you know, I just want to let you know that.
I can start.
Go ahead.
When I was on the regional school committee in Plymouth Carver, Carver was the little town, Plymouth was the big town. You couldn't vote a budget without an affirmative vote from a Carver member. I had an old 42-year school committee member who was my partner. And so I had to find my way through that relationship to make sure Carver got its fair share, but that business kept on going as it needed to go for the school district. And that's one of those things that I just understand, you know. There needs to be equity balance, and it's not necessarily that that some towns, because of their size and influence, necessarily can stand to have the right position. You know, I started out talking about the fact that we have to be concerned about Rockland, what Rockland wants too. You guys asked us to come here and meet with you, so, here we are, and I get that. And that's just the way I would do things anyway. I would be thoughtful and considerate of the issues and make a decision that's, on balance, the best it can be for all parties.
So, I've been to your meetings. I listen to Rockland people on a first-name basis with Mary Parsons, okay? I always go and listen to all sides of issues, okay? Try to weigh those things and that pro-con analysis and that critical thought process. That won't change with me. I'm trained, okay? It's innate.
I guess, just my perspective, I lived in Abington before I lived in Braintree, and I moved to Weymouth. And my reason for moving to Weymouth was because of Southfield. It wasn't necessarily because of the town of Weymouth. I'm enjoying it, but I have an equal interest in all the towns that Southfield is on. And I am definitely more interested in making sure that everybody's happy, because I'm a people pleaser, than being out for myself or even for my neighborhood. So I think overall, knowing that I'm representing a group of people, I have to keep that in mind. But I always like to walk away from a table to make sure that everybody is happy, not just myself, because who likes to live like that?
I think remembering this project, as I attend the SRA board meetings, I see 9 members made up of 6 groups. And this project has to be good for Weymouth, has to be good for Rockland, has to be good for Abington, has to be good for labor, has to be good for the residents, and has to be good for the chamber. Those 6 groups need to see a benefit from this. And the residents, you know, as a resident appointee on the board, if I'm selected, I would look for that collaboration. I think I was here 3 weeks ago when there was a discussion about another board, and I don't remember who said it, but it was an excellent statement of the best boards are the ones you never hear of. You never hear from. The board just goes out and does its job. That's the vision that I personally see for this SRA board. Let's put 9 people on this board who can work together for the project, what's in the best interest of the project, and not be in the newspapers and not be coming before town councils and boards of selectmen to you know, with havoc. Let's work together as a nine-member board. That's the goal that I see. That's the vision that I would have in this position, is to try to find a way to walk away with the 9-0 vote on every single vote.
The road is a big issue. Payments back. Did you give much thought about that? What's going to be in the future for the road? Is the state going to pick up the tab, or who's going to pay for it? I understand that can be, it's been discussed a few times and kicked around a little bit. I just hear odds and ends from Ed and Bill as to what might happen in the future and things like that. So I just want to, you know, ask you, what do you know about the road, and have you given any thought to the future of it, and the payments and any of that business? It's probably not even within the jurisdiction of what you guys want to do now, but it is an issue that's going to be one of the bigger ones out there, I believe.
You mean the extension, the Parkway extension?
Parkway, yeah.
Oh, okay, not the first road that went in.
Nobody's going to talk about a side road. It's the road.
My understanding of it is, I think the state has just offered the grant 6.7 or 6.8 million to fund it, and I know there's discussions between the SRA. I work closely with Lindsay Cruiser, who's one of the other resident appointees, just kind of keeping up with what's going on. My understanding is they're very close to having an agreement between the SRA and L-Star, the developer, to iron out the final points of that, where the state will provide the bulk of the money, and if there's any cost overruns, that's something that the master developer will pick up the tab. It's my understanding of it. As far as a resident concern or the SRA concern, I think the SRA, the members that are there have asked the exact right questions. You know, we have this grant from the state, but what if it runs over? You know, these projects have a tendency to do that. And they've done a really good job of protecting themselves to make sure that if there is a cost overrun, whatever happens, it doesn't fall back to the SRA and, you know, by extension, the taxpayers.
So I think the road, I think it's great. I'm optimistic that it's going to be completed by the winter, and we'll have, that should jumpstart everything else. I'm hopeful that'll happen.
I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah.
Well, nicely summarized.
I agree.
Yeah, I have no concern in terms of.
I got a couple of quick questions. What do you folks think about the recent zoning changes? When you all first bought in, the plan was that you'd have a planned community, you'd have 2,800 plus homes, you have up to 2 million square feet of commercial, you have a lot of amenities that were there. With the change in legislation, some of the amenities were rescinded. With the recent zoning changes in all three communities, there's been some additional housing, 1,000 units, I believe, added in Weymouth. There's been some commercial added in Weymouth is commercial. There was not any real commercial in Rockland, so it's upwards of 2 million square feet now. And just last night, Abington approved up to 1 million square feet of commercial. So how does that affect your views on of the SRA now? And also importantly, what does that do to the HOA over there? As far as when you folks bought in, you thought it was going to be this, and now it may be something else. And how does that affect you, where Rockland has just gone, more importantly, Rockland unanimously voted to have the zoning changes so that we could have more of a benefit from the project. And I'll start with you, Eric, so you can work backwards, I guess, because you answered for.
Either way.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
I'm really excited, personally. I think it's great that we have these zoning changes that, again, as I said, as I've said all evening, it's maximizing the benefits to the towns. Weymouth is going to see more commercial. Rockland sees more commercial. Abington, for a long time, was looking, under the Tri-Town, they only had 12 cents on the dollar return to their town. Then with the new legislation, they had some tax revenue, but not much. Now they have a real opportunity to actually start putting revenue into their budget, which is, I think, is exciting, because anything that helps the towns helps the project and helps, generate the excitement and make it a better project overall. As far as my thoughts of what I bought into a live, work, play community. I bought into a community, my little neighborhood, the Highlands. It's going to be finished in 2 years. It's going to be a nice little area that, once I'm there, I can walk to, as the master plan develops, it becomes more clear what I'll see. Shopping, restaurants, bars, there's going to be, a stadium there. The golf course, I think the majority of the residents, I talk to them frequently. There were a few that were upset, but I think the vast majority of us, if we were really upset, we would have spoken up a long time ago. I think what we lost isn't a loss. It's, especially when you weigh it to what we've gained in the process. We've gained the ability to have this vibrant community that's generating this excitement that people want to move to, want to work, they want to build their corporations there. So for me, overall, it's great. I didn't buy into this idea of a large housing community. It's not ever what I wanted. I wanted this live, work, play concept that's close to the train to be able to get into the city. So I'm happier more, every day when I see the project develop in a way that, again, maximizes the revenue and truly benefits everybody.
Margaret?
I would say I have been slightly disappointed with the increase in commercial. However, well, I'll start, when I first bought into Southfield, definitely like Eric said, the live, work, play. I wanted to be able to walk to places, but also be able to hop in my car if I wanted and get to the beach within, minutes, and down to the Cape easily, and I'd be outside of Boston. But I wanted the perks, the benefits of having a closer knit community where you can walk, and especially the commuter out to Boston. I was a little disappointed with the increase in commercial. As I saw it start to tick up, just because I was thinking slightly more residential. I'm a new mom, so I'm thinking more of walking around with my baby along streets and homes, not so much along businesses. But as I've seen this whole project just kind of evolve over the last few years, it makes a lot of sense that commercial would be needed. And when the SRA board was first redeveloped, really, from Tri-Town, to hear Weymouth's concerns, because that is our address, is in Weymouth, to hear their concerns about the inflow of children, families into the school system, how that would affect the commercial space, to see how much that was needed just for Weymouth, and then to know, too, how much revenue they can pull, how much revenue Abington and Rockland can pull. You know that it's needed, and I think the master developer has done a great job of trying to balance all that to keep it. You still have that residential feel, but again, you have that access, and the jobs that are going to come in this commercial space is just really an exciting opportunity where you actually, funny enough, you don't have to use the commuter rail to get into Boston. You could work right in your own neighborhood, which, as a mom, is pretty surreal.
Steve?
Yeah, when we first moved to Southfield, July 16th, 2011, okay, our intent was not to move into an over 55. I am over 55. Okay, but to move to a mixed-use community. So the members on my left here, you know, have children. I like that, okay? So when we realized that we had really no plan for infrastructure with the Tri-Town and the new changes in law, we all got involved with helping that along and participating. It started with Weymouth, then a little bit with Rockland, and then Abington. You know, Abington discovered, hey, there's property here, okay, for instance. One of the things that came out in Weymouth was 1,000 over 55. Well, that bothered me. You know, I said to myself, well, you know, that's going to put a squeeze on more property here, okay, and that's going to become more urban, which, you know, I like sort of the open space stuff, a lot of what you have in your memorandum of agreement, you know. I like to see that, not so crowded in, even though I grew up outside the Chicago area, so I know what closed in means, okay? The person that made that proposal, I went up immediately to him to challenge that. I said, you know, that would work good if you could get access to the Coast Guard property that's up there. I don't know if you know where that is, but there's like 60 acres. I said, then you could put all the old people up there. It's a great people.
Thanks,
that
Steve.
might be Randy and I. You know, so those are dynamic changes that happened, okay? And I still favor that. I mean, I took a more aggressive and said to I won't say who his name is, but I said, could you get involved with approaching the Coast Guard, you know, and say, let's get, because they were looking for housing for 35 people at the time. I don't know what it is now, from Boston. Mix them in. I mean, because we moved up here, you know, from Connecticut, near where the Coast Guard Academy is, okay? It seemed like a good thing. Not interested. He wanted the older people because they brought in more tax revenue. They brought in more profitability to the town, okay? Well, but that's also your lifeblood. These are your lifeblood here. They're going to be around. I'm going to be dead in 15 to 20 years, okay? So that's what you want to have, you know, for all the towns, whether it's Rockland or not that you don't have room for the old guys, you know. So I bought into that. I share what Margaret said. You know, concern for too much commercial. All depends on what kind of commercial you get. Can we get? I mean, driving through Boston this past weekend, crazy. I mean, it's just overbuilt. So there's got to be opportunity for the high tech. I'm a high tech person. Okay, the real thing. Okay, and I would love to see some of those companies say, hey, you know, it's time to move to a place like this. Do we offer the right things in all three towns? That's what I'm hoping someday we can. That's what I'm hoping. I'm working toward, again, optimization. Whether or not I get elected, I like these other people, but whether or not, you know, you choose it makes no difference. You know, I'll still be working behind the scenes, okay? That's just my nature.
Randall?
So I'll be supporting whoever it is, okay?
I bought a townhouse. I didn't expect that what they were telling me about what was going to happen is actually going to happen. I've been around too long to expect that I'm going to see a golf course and a lot of open space, and this thing's just going to turn out to be a wonderful kind of living space for folks. It's been great for us. We like it just the way it is. You can walk and so on, but there's the opportunities that this presents for that have already been discussed around the development of industry and increasing tax base and planned community and recreation and so on. I'm perfectly fine with that. I understand that over time, as with all plans, there's modifications that get made. You hope that as time goes on, the plans that we've put together are plans that sort of coalesce and we've sort of settled some of the questions. The fact that there's opportunities for tax revenue for Abington is a wonderful thing for Abington. For Rockland, it's a wonderful thing for Rockland. For Weymouth, they've got, you know, the benefit at the moment, and that's good for them. That's part of what I was talking about when I made my first comments to your question. This is a project that really does have to have some benefit for everybody, the association members, people who live there, and the towns as well. So this, I think, is a reasonable direction, and it's a direction that's helpful to you folks. It's helpful to, it was mentioned to by Margaret. It's helpful to her to see something that's not maybe what she'd like, but it's something that she can support, and she sees that it makes sense. So, and I'm planning to live for another 20 years at least.
Well, you're younger than I am.
Oh, is that right?
Well, it's just like to say, through the hard work of Rockland's Open Space Committee, that you have the amount of acreage over there now for open space, and through the agreement with the new developer, L-Star, and you also got some additional land outside the boundaries through another guy from Rockland and some previous land acquisition, which was able to, you know, give that project the amount of acreage. So open space is a big benefit for projects like that that are.
That's why I talked to Mary, is because she's in the heart and soul of that effort.
Mary's got a lot of history on the project.
Yeah.
She does. And again, this board was given an opportunity a few years ago that we could change. We were fortunate enough to get a do-over. That doesn't usually happen a lot. And
No.
you know, the project had failed, unfortunately, but it also gave the towns, all three towns, an opportunity. And I think that was witnessed recently, just the fact with Abington now getting something out of it. Initially, Abington was going to get a sewage treatment plant, and it's looking like, you know, you're probably going to be MWRA storage over there now. So Abington was able to, you know, get some benefit, potential benefit by changing the zoning, which they did. Which leads me to my last question. What's your thought process over there about the SRA, we'll say surcharge, and the relationship that the master developer has with the SRA board? You folks see it uphand, you're close. We know so much about what happens on the project, but you people actually have invested in the project by buying homes over there and living there, and your ears to the ground, your feet's on the ground. What do you see over there?
By the
has
surcharge,
changed?
do you mean the water surcharge of a couple of years ago, or do
Well,
you mean the surcharge in terms of the Southfield tax of
The Southfield
54
tax,
cents?
I know the water was a big
Okay.
issue as well.
Is a big issue for me,
So
personally.
you can address both.
Yeah. No, I'd rather do what you want to hear most about, and I'll let Eric start off.
Hey, let me start again?
Yeah, I agree with everything Eric said, so.
Thank you, Steve. You know, I think the Southfield, when you refer to the Southfield rate, it's something that was, when we first heard about the legislative changes almost 3 years ago now, when Starwood first came in, it's something that they were very upfront with. There's going to be a higher rate for the residents that live in, for everyone in Southfield, above and beyond the rest of the tax rate. And that's something that we as residents came together and said, is this okay or not? How do we want to handle this? And we all accepted that we live in Southfield, there's a benefit to live in Southfield. There are things that we get within Southfield that are, you know, different from the other towns, and we have to basically fund the SRA. So that's a necessary cost that shouldn't be borne by the other three towns. It should be borne specifically by the people who live, work, and own property in Southfield. So the Southfield rate, I think it's okay to have. I think right now it crept up to 54 cents per thousand. I think that's higher than it should be. 50 cents is what we all expect. That's what we're all working towards. And it's one of the reasons, getting back to the question about the contracts, why I think that's so important is to keep the cost in line, to be very, it's, everyone's seeing, all the towns are seeing this. We're seeing difficulties generating revenue, Prop 2.5 overrides, they may or may not succeed, there's a lot of issues. So the goal is to start this organization on the leanest budget possible and then maintain that going forward. So the Southfield rate is necessary. The water, on the other hand, I think the water situation is going to slowly, it's been coming down, it's been fixing itself. It's a work in progress. I think once, if MWRA ends up being the final solution to water in Southfield, I think that'll solve its own problem. I think the goals of the residents that live there are in line with the goals of the master developer who's responsible for bringing in water. So I think the end result is we're going to see an affordable water sewer provider that's not going to be, it may be higher, it may be lower than the surrounding communities, but it won't be skewed where it is. I mean, at one point we paid the highest rate in the country. I mean, even higher than the western states. We had some residents paying $30, $40 per unit. Now we're down to much more reasonable rates. So I think most of us, though, that came in had the understanding that there were going to be some higher costs to live there, and we're okay with that. We understand it going in, and we accept it now that we're there. It's just a matter of keeping the costs in line.
But when we were looking to buy, that was presented to us, that we were told up front that there would be some kind of a fee, and they gave a rough estimate, and we paused for a minute, are we okay with this? And then we realized that yes, it was a premium we were willing to pay. As Eric mentioned, within the community there are certain things that we get that we should be paying for, that nobody else, no other town should bear that burden. So I definitely understand that. I'm comfortable with where it is now. I think Eric's point on the price point, the 54 cents per thousand, keeping that in check is important. And but I feel confident with the relationship with the master developer currently, that we are headed in a positive direction. So I'm not concerned with it getting out of control, and would certainly want to make sure it stays that way.
Okay, I can only add, we also have a Master Development Association charge that we just picked up a couple months ago, and that is to have snow removal, maintenance of things, and landscaping. Landscaping, it's important to have, and this is why I'm bringing it up, to have some source of irrigation water, in my opinion. So as we go forward, I'll be looking in whatever plan is for water and sewer, okay? Whether there's an opportunity to draw off non-drinking irrigation water from whatever the sewer source is. And that's what was attractive about placing it on this site in a smaller capacity, okay? I think the key is the infrastructure. The big change from Tri-Town to here is a plan for infrastructure. The roadway is one thing that has to happen. The water and sewer is another thing. All those things laid out painfully by Starwood, are critical to this project, to its having a chance at success of bringing in commercial entities. I sound like a politician, but I'm not. That's just logic. It takes you through there, but I guarantee you that before any decisions get made, we talk to you guys. I know you now. See, I can let you down.
Yeah, wrap it up. Oh, thank you.
At least for me, anyhow. I don't know about anybody else.
Well, at the risk of freeloading, I would say that pretty much everything that's needed to be said is said. We understood what we were getting into. It's part of the agreement that we have, and of course we want to keep costs down, as Eric was saying earlier. But yeah, it's a nice place to live. It's okay.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
I just have a few just I guess like item to note. I came here, kind of skeptical about this whole process, and just from the word of mouth I've heard, and frankly, I'm here tonight. I'm just really impressed, and I'm with the four of you because really, in my opinion, we don't. And all of us have a vested interest in what we do. I'm a taxpayer here in Rockland. You're a taxpayer on Weymouth and Southfield, and and but you know, you care, and really you represent the promise of, you know, what Southfield, you know, has supposed to be and hopefully will be. You know, young families, folks a long ways from retiring, but just, you know, the whole range, and it's what, you know, and it's really what excites me about this project, and you know, and I just want to say I'm impressed because it really represents, you know, to me what, and you represent to me what I've always believed the project is about. So I just want to thank you for that before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all I have. Joe.
I just have one thing. I think sometimes if we have committees in this town, we have trouble finding any applicants to be on board. So I guess the question I have, I don't feel like a closing argument you can make, is why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be on this board? And,
Yeah, good question. I used to be a town rep in Stoughton, and that was like my first learnings. Okay, and what's in it for us? I mean, I ask that of all you guys when I look at you. What's in it for you? Okay, because I learned the painful way that, you know, that's a consideration why people are before you. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to live and die here. Okay, and you know it's you know, why am I doing it? Just because it's the right thing to do. You know, to be involved with your community, to learn from others. We got some wonderful eclectic people there, as well as in Rockland too. I met some nice people making music out on the runway. The bagpipe retired fire guy from Rockland, great. You know, so I do that because I haven't had a chance up to now in my career. It's been just, you know, balls to the wall. You know, so that's for me. I speak for me. Yeah, what do you say, Mom?
Well, I guess my reasoning is actually kind of selfish. It's for me and my family. I just, investment aside, I see my son and I want him to have a good neighborhood to grow up in, a place that he's proud to come home to, where he can have his best friends and play safely around, you know, parks, or ride his bike on the trails. And I think it all ties into so many different things. I mean, that includes the development of roads and commercial space and towns. I mean, towns need to function well and to have all their needs met. And if he has a beautiful, safe place to call home, then I feel like I've succeeded. And being on the board is a small piece, is a small way of me feeling like I have my hand in that I can help make sure that his future and the future of the other neighborhood kids is bright, and that there's a peaceful place for people to retire to, not just families. So that's my reasoning for wanting to be on the board.
Go ahead. Where do you want me to go?
Go ahead. It seems like that's the route this time.
I'll do it around this way. I think for me, the biggest reason is I really have a passion for this. I joke around at work that this is my hobby, which is really funny, this working with the development. I got involved 4 years ago, within months after moving in. The residents, we had issues, our water rates were sky high, and started to organize the groups and get involved with the project at that point. I attend nearly every Tri-Town Board of Directors meeting, and I've been to nearly every SRA board meeting as well. I'm very familiar with the legislation, very familiar with how things work in the project. You know, very educated with it. I've been involved with it since the beginning, working with Starwood to change the legislation. But I really have a passion for it. I love the work. I love it because what it's doing is, and it's a lot like what Margaret said, I'm building a community, and I'm building a community that I live in. You know, politics have all different flavors and looks. National politics we don't have much say in, but when you get down to this local level where you're working, where you're helping to create the very area you live, it's exciting to me. I mean, it's really what I love to do. So I want to be on the board to help create that, help create this neighborhood that I'm living in, and help you know, generate, you know, again, it's a regional project ultimately, that it's going to, I'm gonna live in a great place and it's going to, you know, the waves are gonna, you know, echo throughout the communities and make a great place. The entire South Shore is gonna, everyone's gonna be better off because of it.
I guess, right? You're the last one, Andy.
Yeah, right.
Unless you want to avoid.
No, not at all. No, I have a stake in it. We purchased a home here. When I was in Carver and did all the work that I did in Carver, I had a stake in it. At the time, my kids were in school. I knew that there were some issues. I got involved. I stayed involved for 23 years to try and make it make the best of what the town could offer. And I see a similar opportunity here. It's a different, complex problem in some respects because we have, it's not, you know, it's the town of Carver and Carver citizens, but it's 3 different towns that are interacting with the association. But it's a worthwhile project that I'm interested in seeing through to the extent that people would want to be a part of it. It's just the way it's been. I've been a public service guy for a long time, and that's part of what this is.
Seeing that this is a joint appointment, and it's for 3 years, I'm assuming that whoever gets the appointment would be willing to come back periodically if we ask to make presentations in front of this board or the town, to the extent that we, you know, need reports. If you want to come with Bill or whoever the Rockland appointees are, I'm assuming that's not going to be an issue.
Sure. Not an issue, unlike some members of the Tri-Town.
Not for me, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board, or what's the board want to do?
I'm not quite sure how the staggered terms will work and what term this fits in. My understanding is they're supposed to be staggered 3-year terms.
My understanding of this is that this would fill out the remainder of the
Mr. Brewer's term?
Mr. Brewer's term, which ends, I think, a year from his appointment, or a year from around September, which was his appointment.
It's 2017.
Yeah, so 2000, because the first 2 resident appointees were a 3-year appointment.
So we would go back through the process. I know there's been some concern about fair representation of Rockland, and there's been some exchange between Rockland and or Weymouth and partisanship or non-partisanship, who knows. But the appointee would have to be subject to reappointment at some point as well.
And affirm it to Weymouth as well.
Right.
Because I believe we're choosing first this time around.
We just...
So just a question that, and so we, once we offer our recommendation is then
forwarded to
Weymouth.
To Weymouth.
The mayor?
Correct.
Yes.
And then the mayor would either concur or he may go down. If we were to take the candidates and put them in numerical order based on, you know, our preference, then they would go back to the mayor. And then either he agrees with our number 1 or if not, then I would assume he'd move to number 2. Bob?
I think you make your recommendation. If Weymouth agrees, then there's an appointment. If not, we're back to the drawing board.
There you go. That's what I would think too. We got a hat we can pick one from. They all seem like pretty good people.
I guess here's the question. Do we need to do it tonight? Do we have time to?
I don't know. Well, we do have a, I don't know, we have.
Obligation to do
No, I'm just looking through to see. No, we have an exec, but it's not for that. So we could pick it, or we could defer it to the next meeting if no one's comfortable, if they just want to, or if they want to narrow it down to candidates and have people back. That's up, I don't know.
If I may, I know the legislation states that this board, if they don't act within 14 days of the ability to make the appointment, then the SRA board has the opportunity to make this appointment, just for your edification.
Right.
So that's generated from the legislation itself. I think it's within Section 9.
That's been the case for about the last 3 to 6 months, but the board can't agree. So you're free to do what you want.
It has somewhat unusual language. Basically says that the mayor and the board of selectmen have not jointly appointed a candidate within 14 days of becoming eligible of making such appointment. You know, when they become eligible to make such appointment, I'm not sure, but, I mean, my assumption is that the rest of the board, the SRA, would rather defer to the mayor and the board of selectmen to make a joint appointment. So if this board isn't going to make a recommendation tonight to bring to the mayor, then he can make a recommendation, and you'd have to convene a meeting shortly thereafter. But at some point, the SRA can convene a meeting and make their own appointment.
And if I may, we've been, as a resident, Rockland has 2 appointees sitting on the board. Weymouth has 2 appointees. Abington has their 1. If anyone quits, they're immediately put back on. It's really quick. As residents, and I'm going to probably guess that my fellow candidates here will echo the statement, we've had a vacant resident appointee for 4 months. I think it's time to appoint somebody to the board. So I would encourage, obviously it's your discretion, follow your own choice, but as a resident, the residents, we are in this legislation. We have the ability to have 2 residents on that board, and it's there for a reason. And I'd like to see that, this appointment filled sooner than later.
Mr. Barry?
Thank you. In the front. Just wanted to share my thoughts, if at all possible, with you. Thanks for the opportunity. Certainly happy my interview process was a little easier than this, and I echo Mr. Mullins' statements. It's an impressive group of candidates. I can just share from our point of view, one of the most compelling things that's happened actually is the way the towns have come together to work together. The zoning really does push that forward for us, and we are working every day on selling to commercial prospects, and they look at this project. Many have been looking at this project for 20 years, and part of what we're doing is changing their impression. And that impression has changed locally because of the hard work, all the hard work done locally. We needed to change in Boston and nationally and internationally. We are actually chasing an international firm right now. And what they look at is what we state and we promise is this is happening, and there is a process, and that process is adhered to. It is compelling when zoning is voted for unanimously in Weymouth, then unanimously at town meeting in Rockland, then unanimously in town meeting in Abington. And the goal of the SRA board, their primary obligation, is expedited permit approval. That is what differentiates this land from all other land in Massachusetts. And when we have, and we right now have, active negotiations with 3 commercial tenants that are spending somewhere between $60 and $110 million apiece when they build these buildings, the promise that there is a board representing the 3 towns that comes together, meets routinely, and is able to push forward the site development plan approval, it's critically important. And so we are, the founder of the company happens to be in Europe next week. He is meeting with the CEO next week. It would be great to be able to finish our discussion with them so that they know there's a 9-member board, and that 9-member board is ready, willing, and able when that entity comes back with a permit to process it. And so what we offer is a process that is second to nowhere in Massachusetts, and the sooner we can tell people that process is in place, fully functioning, and has the support of all 3 towns, which I believe it does. I really do. I think working with each of the 3 towns individually and collectively, working with the residents, all of whom I know, some of whom like me, some of whom don't, but we get along, we talk, we get along, we talk, we see each other. They're an incredibly important voice for us because, as was mentioned earlier, they live it every day. Even as much as I live it every day, I don't live it in the same eyes, and that information helps us be better, and we seek to be better every day. So if at all possible that we could fill out the 9-member board, it would really help us, and it would certainly really help us in the immediate term, because we have some significant companies looking at this project, and when you invest that kind of dollar amount, you look very, very closely, and they are looking closely today. And over the next 15, 20, 30 days. And so we're pushing the rock uphill. After we land a few of these tenants, the rock's going to go downhill, and I think we're all going to be very happy with what happens in 2018. I don't know any other updates. You have any other questions for me while I happen to be here?
Any questions from the board?
Nothing nearly as difficult as the questions you asked us. Thank you.
Hearing that we got 4 excellent candidates here with a lot of qualifications, but I'm going to make a motion that we appoint Stephen Lamott. He has an awful lot of background that's similar to mine, actually. I work in radiopharmaceuticals and half of the things in here, you know, I talked about. I have a son who's a chemical engineer and works for Dow Chemical way up in the stratosphere somewhere. And I think that it seems like you have some pretty good experience, and it might be helpful to what we're looking for. So that's my motion.
Do we have a second then, for anybody?
I'll second it.
Okay.
I just have I guess a comment. One of the things that I've been, and again, you know, like I approached tonight thinking, I guess one way. Now I'm thankfully a lot more open-ended. One of the things I've been thinking as I've listened to all this is the homeowners association plays a significant part in and this whole project, you know, like in really, you know, making sure that you know, the association, its residents who have really, as you mentioned, Ms. Caswell, have are really taking a chance on this project. I really have a voice. My thought is, and obviously it's a, you know, the nomination, you know, before us this evening has come from the association, but you know, to have, to really make sure there's like a broader representation. For example, you know, Mr. Miller, I think, you know, and you serve a really valuable role as a head of the homeowners association, and you know, I just want some like broadening of the representation, you know, on the SRA board, you know, so you know, I would, you know, with no offense, obviously, but just, you know, your position, and now I think the valuable position for the whole project, and you know, I do think you're very good at that. So I would like you to remain there. You know, again, no offense, but you know, and to do that, but you know, and also, I don't know, it's a hard decision because the 4 of you before us really, as I mentioned, represent everything we want about this project, and in terms of you know, the motion on the floor, you know, if I was to you know, or you know, have a ranking or my number one, I'll tend to vote my number one for Mr. Webster, but you know, that would be my thinking. But I'm obviously and thankfully we're a group of 5 of us rather than 1. So I kind of throw my thoughts out there for.
Well, Mr. Ryan made a motion, Mr. Welch seconded the motion. We don't have a hat to throw the names in, so with the motion that's on the floor, all in favor? So
I'll make that a unanimous then.
So, and thank you, and good luck, and
I will get a letter off to the mayor in the morning.
It's a big responsibility from our concern, I'm sure, that, and again, it's a year and a half roughly that you're going to fill out, so, you know, we'll see what goes on in that year and a half.
Yeah, absolutely.
And onward and upward, and thank you all really for participating.
I'd actually encourage all of you to stay involved.
Right.
Because
Oh, yeah, no, I'll stay involved either way.
volunteering is a tough business, but you see the fruits of labor in the end. I mean, it's nice to know that there's people over there. You people are really the pioneers, because you're the first ones to come over there and lay claim and buy property. And moving forward, the expectations have changed, they've evolved, and you know, it's very difficult to stick with that, and it's tough to watch that from the outside, because we rely on the people over there, and we rely on our current reps over there who are doing a great job for us, you know, to keep our interests at hand and also keep the interests of the entire project at hand. And I think, as Matt had said earlier, it's been demonstrated just by the zoning changes. All three communities want this project to succeed, for the sake of the individual communities as well as joint communities. And I think Elstar's done a great job over there compared to the previous master developers in turning goodwill around and actually doing things for the people over there and opening things up. And I give them kudos for working out agreements with our open space committee, because they didn't have to do that, yet they did. And that's important to know, because not only did they do that for open space, but they did it for you folks who are going to be the direct benefit over there. So it's refreshing to know that people keep their word over there. And that's all we ask that you people do for us. If we ask you, you know, to come in to speak with us, or if we have an issue that's important to the town, we ask that you keep an open mind and vote accordingly.
I'll listen to Kelly and to Bill, for sure.
So we appreciate it. Thank you, and sorry for the long night.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up under new business, we have item number 8, Rockland Bar and Grill Keno application. Mr. Chalker?
I believe I'm in the wrong spot. I am in the wrong spot, Mr. Chairman, I apologize, but in your packet should be the application of the Rockland Bar. I am in the wrong. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
It's the lottery one.
It's the lottery one. We actually have 2. Typically, all you need to do is take a vote of no objection for somebody to establish Keno. This is the Rockland Bar and Grill, which is up the street. They haven't opened, but they're making preparations. This is going to be, what was it, 3 Amigos and a couple of other places have been there over time. They're looking for a vote of no objection.
Make a motion to vote no objection.
Second.
All those in favor? To vote? 1 opposed.
Thank you very
Not a
much.
fan of Keno.
Huh?
I'm not a fan of Keno.
Oh, that's all
Too
right.
many.
Okay, next up on the agenda, item number 9, we have a change of officer from Knights of Columbus.
That should be officers, and I believe on page 3 of your packet lists the new officers for the Knights of Columbus. It's just their annual changes because they do have new officers there. John Heffernan's the president and secretary, George Fopiano is treasurer, John Schipper, director, Donald Gillis, director, and James Gifford, director. The board just has to approve.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor? That's a vote.
Thank you very much.
Item number 10, new licenses, Common Vic and Entertainment for Rockland Bar and Grill. Mr. Chalker?
Same thing, they're getting ready apparently to actually open up. So they need approval at the Rockland Bar and Grill for the Common Vic and the entertainment license.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And I just want to write pending all inspections and all, and
Right.
everything in
Yes.
order, agreements, things like that, so everything's set.
We never release them unless they're in compliance.
There you go.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. A vote. And we have item number B under item 10, new licenses. We have Class 1 license Prime Motor Group, 1022 Hingham Street. And again, I checked with zoning, everything's good there.
We've checked with the building department, and everything is all.
Yeah. but there's-
Motion subject to same.
Second.
All those in favor? It's a vote.
Year-end budget transfer, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, stepping on your.
Item number 11, year-end budget
Thank you.
account transfers.
Okay, guys.
Good luck. Sorry so long.
It's that time of year for our annual budget transfers. There are a list in your books. There's a requested transfer of $10,000 from, if you remember, we were using the regulatory secretary line. We have not expended all of that in support of the zoning bylaw committee. Move that to the utilities and maintenance here at Town Hall. Somebody make a motion.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. To vote?
Thank you. $5,000 transfer from town reports, again, to the utilities and maintenance department here at Town Hall. That money is left over from the town reports fund.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor? To vote?
Thank you very much. There is a motion to transfer. Is there a signature on this?
Yes, Board of Selectmen, coming from the Waste Department, pending them meeting. They were supposed to meet tonight, but they're gonna vote on it next time.
They're
Still-
meeting the
you can
same
still
time.
vote it, and I'll just hold it till they do it.
There is a request from the town accountant for a transfer of $38,651 from the waste collection account to the group health account, pending Board of Health approval. Obviously, there's not a signature on this. This will be held until they meet. They meet prior to our next meeting,
So
about
we'll
2
make a
hours
motion
ahead of time.
subject to their approval.
Subject to their approval.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Thank
To
you.
vote?
There's a motion, $55,000 transfer from the contributory retirement account to the group health account.
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Okay. Next up on the agenda, Town
Um,
Administrator's Report and Correspondence.
I do not really have a whole lot on the movie. It was, there was, someone was supposed to get back to me. I believe that they're all done with the last piece, and he has left, but I think you were with me, Mr. Chairman. They were talking about the possibility of leaving the set up for yet another movie. And we have not heard back from them, but pending their final request to this board, there may be the possibility that somebody else wants to alter the facade at that movie set that they were using for the replica of the Watertown Street, whether they paint it and replace a door or window, you know, something, and use it for another movie. So we may have another movie coming before us.
Good.
Patriot Day, I believe, is all done. A reminder to everyone that Town Hall hours, again, Town Hall was open till 8 o'clock tonight. We're open one more late night before summer, which will be on June 21st. Town Hall's open if you need to get to the town clerk's office or the building department or the selectman's office. Town Hall will be closed beginning July 1st for 10 Fridays. Additionally, we did have a late, and this is, we will use this under report and correspondence, a request that came into the office yesterday, again, also asking that the board waive or vote no objection to a Keno license at the Rockland Knights of Columbus, if the board would be so inclined.
All those in favor? So 4 and 1 abstention.
4 and 1 abstention.
Mr. Johnson.
Opposed.
Sorry.
Opposed.
Sorry, Mr. Johnson.
I did that. A couple of things I do have to get to. We will be putting a new drop box in, so anybody who is not available or comes to Town Hall on Friday, the drop box is available outside the treasurer's office, and it will come into Town Hall. Same place, we're just putting actually a bigger basket. If someone wants to drop off virtually any letter or deposit to the town, they can do it through the drop box by Fridays in July, so they don't have to worry about the fact that Town Hall would not be open. I need to announce that absentee ballots are available and that voters who are voting absentee must do so by noon on Friday this week for the special town election. They are required, the town's clerk office is required to close at noon on the day preceding the election. Also, as a gentle reminder to the public, for those of you who have their schedule planned for next Thursday, the 16th, a week from Thursday, the town clerk's office will be closed. I know I mentioned Town Hall. And the Rockland's Men's Club is holding a golf tournament at the Rockland Golf Course on August 22nd. They will have a banner on the WRPS website. They are looking for people who want to play or hole sponsors for $50 a hole. If you contact me, I can put you in touch with the support group, or apparently George Rogers or Jack Conway. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I just want to add one thing to yours, Alan.
Yep.
The Kaboom Playground thing is coming up on June 25th.
Yes, and they'll be doing an appearance before the board at the June 21st meeting.
But they were looking for
volunteers.
volunteers, I think, to be filled out ahead of time, so.
Yep.
I just,
You have to register, I believe.
yeah.
Online.
That's why I wanted to put that out there, so there'd be ample
Anybody
time.
who's interested in working on building the new playground at Hartsef Park can register online, or if they contact us, we will put them in touch. And that is the construction date?
June 25th, Saturday.
June 25th. So
But
if
there's some
anyone's
pre-construction dates, I believe, the Thursday and possibly Friday before. So,
Thank you very much, and I want to thank the board, and I believe in contracts, although some of those people before us don't. I know my 8 years are at, I celebrated my 8-year anniversary here on June 4th. It's been a long time, although sometimes it seems like it flew by, and I appreciate working with the board and know we have at least 3 more to go. So thank you one and all. It's been a lot of fun. I think we've done a lot of great things here, and I look forward to getting a few more things done. Thank you.
okay. Next up on the agenda is Selectmen's comments. Comments and opinions expressed by the individual members do not necessarily reflect the views of all of the Board of Selectmen and are the opinions and comments of only the individual member. With that, Mike?
I don't have any. I spoke enough tonight, so.
Okay. Corey?
I just want to say thanks to the candidates that showed up. All very qualified. I would have been happy with pretty much any one of them. So just want to say thank you to them for coming out and getting through the interrogation.
No, I think it worked out well. Mike?
Yeah, same. It's hard, you know, you have these 4 people sitting in front of you all wanting to do the same job. Usually when I interview people at work for positions at work, you know, you call them or email them saying, hey, sorry, you know, it's hard to do this, you know, the vote in front of them. It was kind of difficult, but I think we made the right decision. Steve Murphy was up here with the athletic complex. I think everyone knows where I stand on that. I think it's a real important issue for the town as a whole. That field down there right now is atrocious, and I can tell you many times during the high school lacrosse games and the youth lacrosse games, refs, other coaches, other parents, you know, look down on the town because of that field. And it's unfortunate. We have good teams. We have equally qualified teams as all the teams we play, but people come here and they think that we're less of what we are. And I know a ref almost got hurt on the field and was pretty upset with what we have. But I think not only that, it's going to be a great complex that incorporates that whole area. You go up there now with that new veterans sign, the new Veterans Memorial, and then you got that field. This is just going to be a nice, almost like a campus for the town to have some pride in. That being said, I did go to the Rockland High School graduation the other night. I had a niece who graduated, and it's starting to get to the age where I have kids in school that I'm recognizing a lot of the graduates. That the school is putting out kids to every single school you can imagine. They're doing a great job up there. I know I'm enjoying my son is in the Rockland High School right now, and I have a son in the middle school. And it's just the presentation of the graduation, I've never been to one up there, and it was really well done. All the speeches, Dan Biggins made a nice speech, Alan Cron made a nice speech, and the students all made great speeches. I think it was a good thing to go to, and I'm looking forward to going to them for the next, I think, 5 years between nieces and my 2 boys. The Dogs Dash, that's the annual race, 5K, 5-kilometer race for the Rockland High School hockey team, and it's a boosters thing. Hockey is probably the most expensive sport by far, at least what's run at the high school, between ice time and equipment, but more importantly for the team and the boosters, they have to raise money for the ice time. It's a lot of money, and this fundraiser really helps offset that cost. The race is going to be on August 6th at 9 a.m. It's going to run the same course that we have in the last 3 years, I believe. It's now the 4th. It's going to be down starting at the high school. You can register online. Let me just get that information. Sorry. The 5K. You're going to do it this year finally? RHS Dog Dash, so it's RHSDOGDASH 2016.racewire.com. For more information, you can go to rhsbulldoghockey@gmail.com. It's a great event. I mean, last year they had, oh Jesus, why can't I think of his name? Coyle. He plays for the Minnesota Wild. He was down there meeting all the players. Charlie Coyle, his cousin actually, his first cousin plays for the Rockland High School team, and he was down there, able to inspire some of the younger kids. I know he did my son. But I ask everyone to come out, and I'm putting a challenge out to the board. You don't have to run, you can walk if you want to, but at least it's like $25. It's something really cheap. I ask everyone to try to join with us in that. And you mentioned Kaboom. I think I'm done. Thank you.
If I give you 50, can I play golf instead?
Yeah, all right, yeah, give
Okay.
double. Just sign up, give a bib. I gave a bib, one year I signed up to run for it, and I couldn't run. And my wife gave my bib to my sister-in-law, who came in last place with my bib. So I had so many pictures of people sending me the last place finish for me. So it ruined my time across the board for other races.
Mr. Ryan?
I'll do that with you.
Last Saturday morning, we had the annual fishing derby with the Kiwanis Club and Anton Materna working with us. The kids always have a great time up there. The weather was good. The park department and everybody cleaned up the place so it looked nice, so it was safe for the kids. We pailed first place for kindergarten to second grade, third and fourth, fifth and sixth. And we also had a bunch of extra fishing rods, which we gave out as door prizes, if you will. So all in all, we gave out about 25 fishing rods to, I think we had about 40 kids there this year. Gene Blaney from the Youth Commission, great job being there. Fire Department, Mary Ryan. Police Department, Barry Aston was there. He only charged us twice as much for the detail as he normally does. Bunch of my friends from my fishing team were there, Computer Bob, and a special thanks to the Eagles for putting forth the money to pay for all the prizes for everybody. It's really a good event, and everybody has a good time. I want to thank Dan Callahan for taking me and the new Water Commissioner Bill Cormier on a tour of the Water Department's reservoir up in Big Sandy and down on Hingham Street. It was very interesting to go through the building to see the process that makes your water almost drinkable. No offense to Dan. The playground, I'm for it 100%. It will help the town become complete. Why have half a town? When people come into town, they want to see the whole thing. Rockland's a great town, a good place to live, and we should have these things because, quite frankly, the town can use them, and we deserve them. The Kaboom thing, they told me they need 100 people. They'd like people to sign up ahead of time so they have an idea of how many people they can have, and they can allocate the resources and the people to work in groups together without having just everybody milling around doing nothing. I think that could be it.
That could be it. Okay, what I have tonight is I'd like to say congratulations to class of 2016. I'd also like to remind people that this Saturday is the day to go out and vote, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 2 questions on the ballot. The first question is about the roads project, phase 2. Second question is about the fields project, which you heard a presentation tonight. So I'd like to ask people to go out and remind people to exercise their right to vote for both those projects. They're both important for the town. Tonight we have an executive session. So I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of step 2, ask me grievance, not to reconvene.
So moved.
Mr. Mullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And myself, yes. With that, thank you all for watching, and good night.